How's it going, everyone? Com2 just came up with an update that doesn't go live for another month, which is unfortunate, but let's run through. Basically, the huge thing is they finally came out with the brand new primes that they said they were going to come out with. Instead of coming out with like a handful like they usually do, they came out with two for every single team. That's 60 brand new primes, which is, I mean, obviously that's a huge amount. They've never added that many primes before. Usually once or twice a year they'll add about that many vintage cards, and most of those are going to get SIGs, so I guess that's kind of on par with that. But let's go through the list. So every single team got one pitcher and one batter, and this is the list of players available next month, a month from now. Looking at the list as far as the four teams that I currently own, there's no one that really stands out because, as you'll find out in a minute here, basically, I'd be willing to bet every single last one of these players has at least one SIG card, if not many SIG cards. So, if you buy SIG packs, it's probably not a good idea to grade increase one of these primes, and none of them really stand out to me as, oh my god, this is just one of those monster prime cards like a Hafner or a Giambi. You know, those cards that are just absolutely ridiculously good. And there's only one that appears to be a Sigless card, which is actually kind of worth upgrading, and that's Jared Washburn 02 for the Angels deck. Now, I just googled his stats. I remember him being a decent pitcher, but he's pretty much what I expected. That year he had a 3.1 ERA, which is decent. He only had 139 strikeouts in 32 complete games, or not complete games. Basically, he made every single start that season. Pitched over 200 innings, so his stamina is going to be pretty high. His location is going to be decent. I forgot to look at his whip, but his strikeouts to inning ratio is not very good. He's probably going to have like around a 68 or 69 base velocity, and it's probably going to be one of his worst stats. So I don't know. I mean, if you're an Angels deck and you don't spend money and you get a prime Washburn, they have a few prime pitchers already. At least Garrett Richards, I believe. I'm pretty sure Jared Weaver has a prime. I can't. I think there's one other prime pitcher that I'm not remembering, but I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for an Angels deck. And let's see. Interesting choices. They gave Chris Sale 17 a prime, but not his 18. His 18 is significantly better than his 17. It's one of the very best starting pitchers in the entire game. I believe his 18's base stats were like 80 location, 81 velocity, just absolutely ridiculous, and they gave his 17 a prime instead. Then they gave him a 14 prime with the White Sox. I mean, that's kind of decent. He's an endgame White Sox pitcher that one year. I mean, they could have given Lance Lynn, Giolito, Rodon. They all have really nice pitchers cards for the White Sox, but I guess they felt that Sale needed a second prime over those guys. It's interesting that they gave Carlos Correa a prime, so now the Astros have three middle infield prime players. Although I guess you could put, I mean, if you're looking at the endgame free to play Houston deck, you'd have Bregman at third base, but he's eligible at shortstop. He's pretty much the best shortstop in the game, batting stats wise, with Altuve at second base. Kind of weird that they gave Correa a prime instead of like, I don't know, the Alvarez 22 that just had like one of the best seasons ever for a Houston batter. That's kind of weird that they snubbed him and gave Correa a prime card when they already have a prime shortstop. Jose Abreu, pretty solid card. MVP year for the White Sox, really nice stats. Bogarts, he's probably the best normal Boston shortstop available. I mean, Petrocelli's better, but he doesn't have a zig or anything. Lindor's best Cleveland shortstop. No surprises with Trevor Story with that huge season he had in 2018. Pretty low I, but you can probably train around that. Another interesting one is Corey Seager 17. I mean, none of his Dodger cards are really bad, but his 20 card is by far his best card. It's kind of strange that they didn't give him that year. Christian Yelich 16. He was pretty mediocre in Miami. Always had a little, maybe a little below average to average power. I would have personally chosen 17 Marcell Ozuna to get a prime. He's much better than Yelich, and they're even the same position too, so that's kind of a head scratcher. Max Kepler's kind of mediocre. Alonso, that's a really nice prime card. I believe that's his best year. I probably would have given Matt Olson a prime over Chapman, but that's not a bad card. Harper is MVP year, so he's got to get a prime. They pretty much make it a point to give prime cards to Cy Young and MVP players. Nelson Cruz, that's a really nice card for Seattle. Really nice adjusted OVR with low right side stats. Colton Wong, really don't know why he got a prime. He's always had well below average power, been an average contact hitter. That's kind of a head scratcher. Brandon Lowe is a really nice card. Joey Gallo is probably the highest power batter you can get. That's like a normal batter when you factor in his grade increase, because all of his other stats are terrible. And he has like 89 power or something like that, so like all of his grade increase goes to his power. Vladimir Guerrero had that amazing season that would have been an MVP in just about any other year, but can't give him the MVP when Otani had that massive year that he had. Trey Turner's pretty mediocre. Greinke 17, that's mediocre. Pretty decent for Diamondbacks deck, I guess. Alex Wood, that's a card that usually gets overlooked. He's a endgame Atlanta pitcher for that one good season he had with them. I think he had a 72 base with kind of low stamina, so that's a pretty nice card for them. Gossman, very mediocre. Kyle Hendricks rounds out a prime Cubs rotation if you got a Arrieta and Lester prime when they were available. Castillo, decent. Bieber was basically the best pitcher in the game before 21 DeGrom. Giovanni Marquez, probably about the best you can get for Rockies pitchers. Scherzer 13, pretty mediocre, but it's another prime card for Detroit. Presley, pretty solid year that year, his best year. I'd argue you could get a prime card to like either of what's his name? Oh, I can't think of his name. The guy who was in the bullpen for the Astros and then he became starting pitcher like in the middle of 2021, I think. I can't remember his name, but he's got some amazing cards for the Astros decks. Keller 73 base, that's about as good as it gets for KC. Urias 20 game winner, really nice for Dodgers. Now they have like 19 prime pitchers. You could probably make an entire Dodgers rotation and bullpen with all their prime cards now. Corbin Burns, really nice. That was his, I believe, 76 base. It was either 75 or 76 Cy Young year. Zach Wheeler, pretty decent. I think that was a 72 base. Severino, 1774 base. That's endgame. Yankees pitcher. Gray's kind of mediocre. Wheeler's pretty decent. Garrett Cole's really nice for Pittsburgh, 73 base. I think that might be, outside of Prime Perez, probably their best pitcher. Musgrove, pretty good. I don't remember Gonzalez for Seattle, but I'm sure he was like a 71 or 72 base. Schmidt, he already has a SIG card. Lance Lynn, mediocre for St. Louis. I don't know if Flaherty has a prime card, but if he doesn't, I would have much rather had Flaherty get a prime card for St. Louis. And I actually thought that Blake Snell had a prime card for 2018, and I guess he finally got one for that monster season that he had. Yeah, that's pretty much it for those. Jared Washburn, according to this, I would assume that he's going to be the only Sigless prime card that they added. Okay, so let's go over the second part of the video. Over the past month, I got the idea to see what my drop rates are for my main club. Farming the even number of Master League. I was inspired by the video that Mestro's Analytics made, basically doing the same thing. So basically what I did was I farmed for an entire week. I kept track of all of my quick play macros that were at least 6 games. I refreshed twice a day for stars, and plus you get the various league balls, the one on Friday morning, for example, and league balls for the weekly mission box sometimes if you're lucky to get 2 of them. And I figured I would give other endgame teams a pretty good idea of where they're going to want to farm, because you could make some pretty solid arguments. I mean, obviously the rare item drop rates are going to be slightly higher the higher season you go, but that's going to be countered by the fact that you're also farming a lot less boxes, period. So basically I put together some of the more interesting and relevant rewards that you get from farming Master League, and the reason I put basic and intermediate packs in there is just to show how far they drop off once you get into later seasons, which is obviously a good thing. If you've got an endgame team, you really don't care about basic and intermediate packs. You have tons of upgrade tickets, and you're probably well on your way to special training your entire team. I mean, if you're a mid-game team, those basic and intermediate packs help out a lot for special training. So for 2022, lots of basics and intermediate packs as expected. And an interesting thing, I don't know if it's variance. So basically I tabulated right around 350 to 400 quick play games per season, per week. And all these stats are based on the average drop rate per 15 games. So this is what you can expect to do one refresh, and that's kind of helpful to give you an idea of what to expect. Like if you're not sure if you want to refresh league balls once, twice, or maybe even some teams do it 3 times a day. I don't really recommend that. That's kind of a lot of stars for minimal return on investment. But it might help some people out to figure out both what season you should be farming and what amount of league ball refreshes that you should be doing every day. So premium packs drops twice as much as silvers. That's probably variance, because that pretty much changed into the middle to late seasons. Not very many team select packs. Ultimate packs about 1 every 4 refreshes. 1 diamond pack period. That's not 1 per refresh, unfortunately. That's just tabulating how many I got for the entire week. Black diamond pieces, 1 in the 3rd per refresh. Skill change tickets you're only able to get about half per refresh, which is kind of significant, because like one of the things that I've always mentioned for weekly mission box rewards, some of the more common drops in those are 3 and 5 skill change tickets and 1 and 2 league ball recharges. And I've always suggested that if you get skill change tickets, you should grab those, because if you really need black diamond pieces, experience mats for special training, then obviously the league ball recharge are the way to go. But if you're like an endgame team and all your players are black and all your special training's done, you're really only looking for skill change tickets, and if you're lucky enough to get premium skill change tickets, that's really the only thing that can helpful. that can help you at that point. And premium vintage packs, I managed to get a couple of those, 1.25 amps. If you're an endgame team, you probably have plenty of amps racked up, so that's really not too big of a deal. Free agent tickets, almost 1.5 per refresh. That's pretty significant if you're using free agent tickets for the mileage and the occasional ultimate pack. Didn't get any upgrade tickets or premium skill change tickets. I figure those things are so incredibly rare. It's really not even worth your while to get the drop rates for those, because like you're gonna need thousands of games before in each season before you even see any kind of significant correlation season to season. So moving on to 2024, basic and intermediate packs dropped off quite a bit. I mean, not a huge drop, but definitely a drop. Silver packs, pretty much the same. Premium packs, that was actually a really good week for premium packs. That was probably variance. I had one refresh where I got like 4 or 5 premium packs, and that was pretty big. Team select packs, obviously, if they dropped a lot more in 2024 than 2022, ultimate packs were about the same. Probably got like one more ultimate pack the whole week. That's probably the only difference there. No diamond packs again. Or I got one in 2022. Can't really look at that though. That's one of those uber rare drop items that you're gonna need thousands of games just to start to figure it out and get a picture of how often they fall in each season. Black diamond pieces, basically the same, just about the same. And skill change tickets, a little bit higher. I'd say it's significantly higher than 2022. One premium skill change ticket, one upgrade ticket. Amps fell off a little bit. Free agents went up a little bit, but I got 3 premium vintage packs. I I would probably say premium vintage packs fall under the other uber rare items where it's just too hard to quantify with a sample size less than several thousand. So let's move on to 2026. Basic and intermediate packs fell off again. Silver packs went up a little bit, actually quite a bit. They almost doubled. Premium packs went way down, like way down. That was a pretty bad week. They went down to even lower than 2022. Ultimate packs went up a little bit more again. Got one diamond pack. Black diamond pieces went up by quite a bit to one point, just about 1.6 per refresh. Skill change tickets fell off a little bit, unfortunately. Got one upgrade ticket, one premium skill change ticket. Amps went up again to just about 2022. It's actually identical, I think. Yep, identical. Okay, so free agent tickets fell off a little bit, less than one per refresh. Got only one premium vintage pack. Moving on to 2028, and the basic and intermediate packs fell off quite a lot. Silver packs pretty much regressed to the mean. I'd say the mean in general is right around a half average per refresh. Premium packs went up a little bit. Silver and premiums probably overall are going to be basically the same. It looks like team select premium packs went way down to 0.14, so basically like twice a week in a couple dozen refreshes. Ultimate packs went right down to what they were in the beginning, 2022, 2024. No dime packs. Black diamond pieces went up a little bit, but I'd say that's probably just variance there. It's probably right around the same as 2026. And the big one to me was skill change tickets. That dropped off a little bit compared to 2022 or 2024, I mean. And I would attribute that to variance because the final 12 refreshes of the week, I got 0 skill change tickets out of 12 in a row. That's just absolutely ridiculous. That has to be just really terrible variance right there. So I would probably put more stock in like 2024 or 2026. Like maybe if I play another couple of weeks at 2028, skill changes will go back up to like around 0.75 with a much more even distribution. One player upgrade ticket, 0 premium skill change tickets. Amps went back down to pretty much the same as they were in 2024. Free agent tickets, I think that might have been okay. It's not the highest. It went right back to the early years. That's kind of a high variance item right there. I'm not really sure what conclusion to draw as far as what year for free agent tickets. Obviously, those are going to be valuable, like I said, to people using them for the double mileage, especially. Well, actually, it doesn't matter if it's free agent tickets, but some people probably spend stars on free agent rolls for double mileage, trying to get the triple mileage from the mileage drops. Couple of premium vintage player packs, so I probably averaged like right around 2 per season. Yeah, that looks pretty even distribution. So I don't think it really matters what season you're farming for premium vintage player packs. I'm sure if you farmed month after month after month, you'd probably get slightly higher drop rates for upgrade tickets and premium skill change tickets and maybe premium vintage player tickets like the Uber Rare and the Diamond packs. But like you're gonna need thousands and thousands of games before you can even start to form an accurate picture of the Uber Rare item drops. They're just too rare at this point. So I guess the conclusion that I draw is if you have an endgame team that's easily capable of winning the World Series in 2028, and you can basically farm any season. If I remember correctly, the drop rates, the boxes per game throughout the 4 seasons went from 3.8 to 3.5 to 2.5 to 2.2, which is a little bit less of a drop off at 2028 than I thought it was going to be. It's actually not terrible. But you're farming literally half as many basic packs and intermediate player packs, so obviously those drop rates are going to go somewhere, and you're going to get a lot more black diamond pieces, and probably, if variance gets worked out, probably more skill change tickets in the higher levels. I mean, the black diamond pieces are for sure going to go up in the higher level in the higher seasons. And yeah, that's pretty much my main takeaway from this is like if you're a late mid game team and you could actually use the intermediate and basic packs for maybe you need a few upgrades and you're probably going to be doing a whole lot of special training at that point. It might be worth your while to do an earlier season. But if you've got an end game team and you really want black diamond pieces and skill change tickets and the uber rare items, you're probably going to want to farm about as high as you possibly can because you're going to want to maximize the drop rates of those items, obviously, as opposed to getting tons and tons of basic and intermediate packs, which is fine for special training, but as an endgame team, you're not going to be needing those at all. So yeah, that was my experience farming League over the past month. Let me know in the comments what your experience is, what your anecdotes are, comparing the various seasons. Thank you for watching. Bye.